my YouTube channel where I talk about movies, like a lot. I am so excited for this movie review because it is probably one of the more anticipated movies that I wanted to see this year, actually last year, but you know what happened, but this year. I will say that this is a completely non-spoiler review of this movie. There will be no spoilers involved in the telling of this review. But without further ado, let's get started on talking about In the Heights with John Chu as the director, starring Anthony Ramos, Corey Hawkins, Leslie Grace, and lots of other people. In the Heights is the story of Usnavi, a bodega owner who has mixed feelings about closing his store and retiring to the Dominican Republic or staying in Washington Heights. Okay, but let's talk about the overall feeling that I got from this movie. I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun. I cried, I laughed, I was smiling the entire time. Great movie. It's a great time to just watch and enjoy yourself. Now, this movie is not without its faults, but I did really enjoy it. I came out of it feeling so like full of life from this movie. So let's get started with the positives of this movie. And I try to start with the positives and then move on to the negatives later. And trust me, there are both sides and both are very valid. A little backstory before I get into this is that this was originally a stage musical produced by Lin-Manuel Miranda and written and directed and starring him like normal. Finally, it has been made its way to the big screen and I'm so excited for it. It was amazing to see the trailer. If you want to see my trailer reaction to this movie, if you want to watch my trailer reaction of this movie that would happen in like what, 2018 or 2019, sometime very far away, I did react to the teaser trailer for this movie, and if you want to watch that, you can find that up in the cards. Positives of this movie is that it's so electric and energetic. That's just something that is just oozing out of this movie. Everybody in this movie, including all the extras, like everyone, they enjoyed this experience and you could tell that they were having fun. And this wasn't just work to them, it was something more. It was a lifestyle, something that they all have experienced and had some history experiencing at least. Electrifying is the only word that I can think of to describe this movie, which is kind of ironic given some of the plot points that happen. One of the strongest parts of this movie is the musical numbers that are performed by the cast. Not only are they strong performance-wise, but also visually amazing. John Chu has directed a lot of music-centered movies, which isn't a bad thing. It's actually really cool. John Chu is one of my favorite directors, just in general. I don't really have a lot of favorite directors, but John Chu is one of them that I will probably see his movie if he ever releases something anytime, anywhere. The movies may not be the best thing, but his directing style is what really draws me to the movie itself. So he really knows how to create a scene that is driven by music, not only by the performances on the screen, but also the editing involved, the different cuts, and the way that your eyes move from different scenes. Very cool. I really appreciate it. In any of the musical numbers, they just catch your attention and you want to get up and dance with everybody who's involved. Like, it's so much fun. The plot of this movie is actually different. It's same storyline, but it's told differently in the movie than it is in the stage play. I won't be comparing the two of them very much because that'll take a long time, but that's kind of the gist of this general movie. Like I said before, the personal creativity of each of the creatives that are involved in this is amazing. Like, I can't imagine being in this room during development where they were talking about things and planning things out and not being excited for it. Because that's a huge thing. That's what's happening in America right now, is the whole issue of diversity and representation in the media. We're getting a lot of it now. In the past few years, the past decade, there has been more representation and just, you know, seeing other cultures other than Americans and Europeans on the big screen. Not saying that any movie besides the last decade are like horrible racist movies. That's not what I'm saying at all. But just the fact that you see other people, other POC and Latinx and Black and, you know, different peoples of color just being not only represented and seen in the media, but also their cultures and being understood through the art of creativity and through the art of movies. I'm not the expert on representation. I don't speak for everyone. It's just a thing that is really nice to see when you see something like Crazy Rich Asians, where the entire cast is Asian Americans, or just Asian actors in general, or Black Panther, where almost the entire cast is fully Black or African or African American. Like, any and all in between. It's so cool to see that. And it's just, I'm not the expert on it, but it's really nice to see that. And you don't realize you needed it until you see it on the screen. It's really fun. I can't tell you how many people were there to see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse who were POC and African American, and just like people who have grown up doing comic books and learning comic books and seeing a mixed kid on screen in animated form still, but like seeing that's one thing that I really do appreciate and admire about this movie a lot, and the stage play that it came from. It's really amazing. Like I said, this is a fun experience. The cinematography in this is beautiful. Like the colors, oh my gosh, it's not like so saturated. You know, when you see a musical and everyone's wearing bright colors, like it's that kind of colorful, like La La Land colorful. Like everything's just like vibrant. They took the vibrance and just raised it, like cranked that vibrance up. Not just the saturation itself, but just like you see so much life in these people. It's so great. So let's move on from the positives and go into the negatives, which may or may not be negatives. I don't know if they're like negatives, but this is all like, it's fine. Like, I'm not trying to attack the movie or anything, but a big thing that I just kept thinking throughout the entire movie, as fun as it was, as electric and dynamic the performance were, I didn't feel like it was a movie. There's this thing in storytelling where you have characters that are like the plot devices, and one of the poor storytelling mechanisms that exist in media today is that there are a lot of things happening to characters. That's the thing. I just felt like everything was happening to characters. Like they weren't actually doing anything about it. They were just trying to survive, which is kind of the point, but also at the same time, I'm trying not to like upset people, but it's true. Like the thing about movies is, and creativity and literature in general, is that you don't want things just happening to characters. You want the characters to take their own like initiative on things. I just didn't feel like that was happening. The musical numbers felt separated and segmented. The only thing driving the plot was the music numbers in between. Like that was it. Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful story. I love hardships that were displayed in this movie, and seeing everything like for how it is heartbreaking a lot, but also you have purpose in it. Like there's something to look forward to at the end of the rainbow. Like there's something at the end of the road waiting for you there. Yeah, it's just like, it was a lot of the characters just getting thrown around by events that were completely out of their control, and they weren't like trying to make it their own moment. They were just doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. I think that they relied on the original source material a little too much. Me knowing the source material, I was like, oh, I know what this means. Oh, I know what this means. This is, you know, because of this, because I have seen the stage production. Not live, but you know what I mean. I think it relied a little too heavy on the source material. There was also a couple of very useless characters, like extremely useless. They took out characters from the original source material and then also just made some very useless characters. There's a couple of side characters that just exist for the reason of existing and maybe adding some like spicy commentary in the background, but that's pretty much it. And I'm just like, okay. That's fine. We could have cut them out of the picture. They cut out other characters. Why did you cut out these characters? Like that. The thing is, with a stage production, it makes more sense to have multiple characters to do like very random things, but in movies, there are extras for that. And I feel like some of the characters who were in there were not exactly explained enough. Maybe that's just me talking. One last thing that, like just a major thing that I was just, there's no concept of location. There's no concept of location. I don't know how to explain this. So they talk about this block a lot. This one block of Washington Heights that is the bodega, where a lot of Latinx community is, you know, housed and living and doing their businesses and living life. But we jump from like one end of the street to the other with no explanation of like how they got there. Not that like, I feel like everything was very separated. Everyone was just so separate with their own lives. There was no like, between the main protagonists, that's what I'm saying, is that everybody was just like all around, spread out. Location wise, there was just so many things. Whereas if you want to do it on a block, just stick to the block. Like have the park there, but have it like, you know, attached to like, you know, have them travel from one place to the other. There's so many things that could have like, So to conclude with my final thoughts on this movie, after I gave you both the positives and the negatives, I did like this movie a lot. I loved this movie. Like, this is a great movie. It's so much fun, so much fun. But as somebody who watches movies and dissects them and analyzes them. There's some stuff that I just couldn't like get behind and, you know, say, yes, this is a A+ movie, one of the best movies of the year. The best part of this movie was the scenes. A lot of the scenes by themselves could have been standalone, or like the musical numbers, they could have been music videos, and I would have been just fine with that. Like, that would have been amazing. But there wasn't anything to connect. There wasn't, not anything, but just there wasn't a good flow of story to connect all of these different scenes together until the very end. Like, in the beginning, I was just like, okay, we're just chopping everything up and doing this. And then at the end, it became more of a story. I feel like it was just very fragmented at the beginning, and then they tried to fix it in the end. I'm trying to say it nicely without like diminishing the quality and the fun and the energy that I got and like loved experiencing this movie about. So if I had to choose between seeing this movie in theaters, buying it, or renting it / streaming, I would choose to see it in the theaters. It's a great movie to watch in theaters, and it's just a lot of fun, you know? As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a great random Thursday, and I will see you on the other side of the screen. Thank you guys so much for watching so much.